Okay, during this tour I'm gonna speak mostly English, but I will also mix it up with some Swedish now and then. And if the volume's too high when I play music and stuff like that for you, just let me know. And also if it's too low, let me know that as well. Okay, so come on board. My name is Mimmi and I'm gonna be your guide during this 3-hour-long tour. So we're gonna be 2 hours on land and then approximately between 50 minutes and 1 hour in the water. So warm welcome to everyone. Tour, all of you did like this. And the other day, there was the man sitting up here next to me, and he were when I said at this 3-hour-long tour and turned my back, I heard him say like this, but I'm gonna pick up my kids from school. Okay, I guess I need to fix that, so he started to text his wife. But no, just 1 hour, then you will be back again, safe and sound, hopefully, anyway. Something more I love to watch more than your reactions is of course other people's reactions that we're passing by. Because people are waving and laughing and pointing at us, taking pictures. It's like we had, I don't know, Donald Trump that were driving us today, but he couldn't make it. So instead we have something much better. Give it up for Jonas! In his hands, so let's keep him calm and happy. Please help me with that. And on our left hand side, a bit further down, you can now see the national stage here in Sweden. That is the Royal Dramatic Theatre. And the theatre have 4 stages inside, where the biggest one can seat almost 800 people in the audience at the same time. And in there we also have something called the Royal Box, which is where the King and the Queen are seated. But a funny thing about that box is that it's actually constructed in a way so that we in the audience can see more of the King and the Queen than the King and the Queen can see of the actual play. So yes, it's a hard life being a royal in Sweden these days, I can tell you. So now you have the Royal Dramatic Theatre here on our right hand side. Och Dramaten grundades av våran gamla kulturkung. Vem var det då? Ni som gjorde den historieläxa? Ja, men 10 poäng till dig. Det var ju ingen mindre än Gustav den tredje. God afton vackra mask, och så sköt man honom på den här maskeradbalen. Det var också Gustav den tredje som la grunden till bland annat Operan och Svenska Akademin en gång i tiden. You can also see the head of August Strindberg standing outside there, the statue. And he's standing there because he was the first man that wrote a play that he played inside those 4 walls. And the name of that play was Mäster Olof. And now we're heading up on the street, Birger Jarlsgatan. And Birger Jarl, he was the founder of Stockholm. But today this is more of an exclusive street filled with exclusive brands such as Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Prada, Burberry, Mulberry, Blueberry, Strawberry, Raspberry, Cranberry, Blackberry, all kind of berries you could ever think of. Okay, no, I'm not super good in exclusive brands, but guys, something I actually do know is that it's Saturday today and that we're now heading up towards Stureplan. And do you know what? Stureplan, that is the nightclub mecca here in Stockholm. library. And the cool thing about that library is that it has a copy of everything that has been published in Sweden since the 1600s. So now you can imagine how many books it's in there. And also here on the left hand side, the personal Humlegården, the hop. And the name comes from that we used to brew hops in there back then, which is one of the main ingredients in. Have you?
Oh, microphone خراب شد.
Is one of the main ingredients when we're producing beer, which actually is the captain's favorite drink. And in the end of you can see a brick tower with a green clock in the middle. That is the Olympic Stadium. And in the 1912 we had the Olympic Games here in Stockholm. So that is actually the oldest still used Olympic Stadium in the world. And now we're driving along again the parade street of Östermalm. And Öster means east, so now we're in the eastern part of the city. And this used to be Stockholm's slum area back in the days. It's now transformed to become one of the most exclusive areas in the country. The buildings around us, they were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it was already then planned to be a more posh neighborhood here. So the ceilings are higher and the windows are larger than in the rest of the city. And this is one of the 4 streets in Stockholm with its own tree alley in the middle. Så just någonstans längs med Kavavägen, Paradgatan på Östermalm. Och detta var ju då länge Stockholms slumområde, men idag är det andra bullar. Grusgången här till vänster kallas i folkmun för Snobbrännan. Och här till höger har vi Ica. Ica för de rika. But what kind of people do live here at Östermalm, you might wondering? Well, the typical Östermalms person is a quite vain character with frequent trips to the hairdresser and the gym. From SUV, that is long stuff. Parking is legal though. It's not that necessary. Actually, around here are more parking tickets issued than anywhere else than in the whole country. And you remember this guy? Who's this? Yes, brilliant man that passed away way too soon, just 28 years old. And the brick building here on the left-hand side is where he went to school back in the days. And another guy that lives in this neighborhood is none other than Sweden's unofficial king. Who is that? No, actually the unofficial one is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. You might have heard his name. Yes, he lives just a couple of blocks from here on the right-hand side. And a couple of years ago, he bought a church to live in, which I must say I think suits him pretty well since he thinks that he's God himself. And this round is called one of the biggest ones in the city. And the fountain in the middle, turn it off every beginning of June. It's graduation time here in Stockholm. And if we don't turn it off, our dear students love to use that fountain as their own private swimming pool. And the brown here is where the famous movie director Ingmar Bergman was living, but we call it the Strindberg house because it's standing in the house standing there even before August Strindberg was living. And Stockholm ranks in the top when it comes to numbers of museums. We have over 100 of them here in the city. It's the Museum of History soon coming up on the right hand side. And the Museum of History has free entrance because it's owned by the state, and this is good for all the tourists. It's important to know that all state-owned museums in Sweden has free entrance. And right now the Museum of History has the world's largest Viking exhibition. Så just nu Historiska museet alltså världens största vikingutställning. And now towards Djurgården, which is royal ground and has been owned by the Swedish king since the 1400s. And Djurgården translated into animal yard because back in the days that was the king's hunting area. But in the 1700s, Sweden had a king with the name of Fredrik, and he wasn't interested in hunting at all. So he opened up Djurgården for the public, and the social life could start to flourish. Och rakt över så kan ni strax se en bro och det är Djurgårdsbron. Och 4 vikingagudar vaktar den där bron. Och det gör de alldeles rätt i. För vi kommer nämligen alldeles strax att åka in under bron. Here on the left hand side and on the right hand side we have Heimdall. And Heimdall, as you can see, he's holding a horn in his hand. And the myth says that he's ready to blow that horn every time a virgin crosses the bridge. And I guess it's needless to say, but it has been quiet here since the bridge was finished in 1897.
أنا زنجنا كمان فيها أنا قايق تاوشتيو
موزة ما بنجم
ها؟
موزة
صح
ليش؟
Thank you, Celine Dion, but now there's actually no time for tears. Because this is the moment we all been waiting for. This is the place where we gonna transform Estelle from a bus to a boat. Här är alltså ögonblicket vi alla har väntat på. Det är här vi ska transformera Estelle från en buss till en båt. But it's dangerous out there, so I need to have a safe debriefing with you first in both English and Swedish. Please listen carefully. So we have one emergency door there in the middle of the bus. We've got 2 up in the roof and 1 up here in the front. But this one's just for me and the captain and for those that paid a little bit extra before. I'm just kidding. It's all of you, of course. Then you find the life jackets in the head above you. If anyone has taken their seatbelts on, take them off. You're not allowed to have them in the water. And please now put hands in front of you, otherwise you can fall over. And hold tight to the things you love most. I don't know what that is. Sunglasses, cameras, kids, whatever. Så det är alltså en nödutgång i mitten av bussen. Vi har 2 uppe i taket, en här framme. Flytvästen har ni i taket ovanför er. Har någon satt på sig säkerhetsbälte, ta av dem. Har vi inte på sig säkerhetsbälte i vattnet. Placera händerna framför er så att ni inte flyger fram. Och så håller ni stenhårt nu era telefoner, era barn. Det som är viktigast för er, för det ligger redan ett par av dem redan för rampen nämligen. Telefoner alltså. Okay, now I'm gonna check if the captain start to be ready up here. Okay, the captain says he's ready, but please hold your fingers crossed for him because it's his first day at work. Yes, funny because it's true. You wanna sit down? Okay, so the captain is as ready as he can be, but now I wonder, of course, are you ready? And redo?
Yeah!
Are you ready? Yeah! Nice, let's count down together then. 3. Let's go!
سمير استرمت في جام ليه؟ ها؟ بابا كنا مرة كده صار Hæ? Nej.
Locate a bit further down on our left-hand side is a reminder of that this used to be gated back in the days. And okay, Estelle, the shark you are sitting in right now, she is actually a Volvo lorry that we bought completely new and shipped over to the States. Over there we met a very old man with the name John that knows everything about amphibious vehicles, according to himself anyway. So he dismounted it all and then he took part that he needed and put it together again. And he dismounted it all and then took the part that he needed, put it together again in this chassis that we're sitting in right now, which is all in aluminum. And look here, he drives the ocean bus with a joystick, which is connected to a rudder in the end. And in the back there is also a propeller that is pushing us forward while we are in the water. And a very common question is, of course, what is I'm like, well, I hope so too, otherwise we have a very big problem later on. But okay, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but nothing at all happens to the wheels. This is so far away from a James Bond car you could ever come. Something that's really clear though is that we probably have the most clean bus wheels in Stockholm. That's a fact. And maybe you remember that I've told you that Stockholm houses over 100 different museums. Many of them you can find here at Djurgården. Like the beautiful, beautiful North Museum coming up here on our left-hand side, Kungliga Palace. We also have the Brick Museum, the Museum, the Viking Museum, the Museum of Alcohol, which is our captain's favorite one. And then of course we have the world's first open-air museum inside Djurgården with the name of Skansen. And fact about Skansen is that every year since 1979 we have hosted a TV show from there with the name Alfon. With the name Alfon på Skansen. And the fun thing about Alfon på Skansen, or what is that for, as you might wondering, well, it's a sing-along TV show as close to religion you can come in this country. So every Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock in the summer, we sit at open up sofas and sing along with our TV. Nothing weird with that at all. I would actually want to play you the theme song to Alfon på Skansen, and me and the captain will to apologize to all our foreign guests on board, because the Swedish one will definitely start to sing along. amazing. A big applause, everyone. Okay, Stockholm in my heart. Of all the cities I know around the world, you are the one that has it all. That is what we just heard us sing together. And if you take a look out on our right hand side, you can see a pink building over there. And behind it we have the Royal Palace coming up. And the Royal Palace here in Stockholm is actually one of Europe's biggest. It has 7 floors and 608 rooms. And do you know what that meant when it was finished? That we had one more room than the Buckingham Palace. Coincidence? I think not. And the brown building over there on the left hand side with 3 masts outside, that is the Vasa Museum, and that is the most known tourist attraction in Sweden after Ocean Bus. And in there you can find a wreck of the warship Vasa and the mast who sank on a maiden voyage in 1628. And the map in the middle with the Swedish flag waving up on it is 52 meters high, and that is the original height of the original mast. So now you can imagine how big she was, and that was exactly where she sank. She was too big, too high, and too narrow, just like the boat you're sitting in right now. So she was laying by the palace over there, and she was supposed to go to Poland to war. And she made it the way we're going now, just around the bend by the amusement park over there, before she sank and became Sweden's first submarine. Then she remained on the bottom of the sea for over 300 years, until a man with the name Anders Franzén was able to pick her up in the mid-1900s. So what you can have a look on in there is actually the only existing ship from the 1600s, which is pretty cool. Så där inne till vänster har vi alltså Vasa-skeppet som ju sjönk på sin allra första färd år 1628. Och då hade man ändå gjort ett stabilitetstest på det precis innan. Man lät 30 man springa fram och tillbaka på överdäck för att se hur den uppförde sig i vattnet. Men efter bara 10 spring fram och tillbaka var man tvungen att avbryta det testet. För redan då höll nämligen på att kantra, alltså välta i vattnet. Men Gustav II Adolf var vår kung på den tiden, tyckte att det var en toppen idé att skicka iväg henne i alla fall. Så det gjorde han, och sen vet vi alla hur det slutade. And if you take a look out on our left hand side a bit further down, you can see the oldest amusement park in Sweden with the name Gröna Lund. And Gröna Lund opened in 1883, and back then there were no bridges here in Stockholm. Today we have 52 different bridges that is connecting the 14 islands of Stockholm, but back in 1800s there were none. So the only way to actually get there was to be rowed from either Södermalm over there or the old town over there. Have a nice evening. And you doesn't have to like roller coasters to visit Gröna Lund. We also have a famous stage in there where big artists has performed, such as Eric Clapton, Paul McCartney, Elton John, Bob Marley, Lady Gaga, Kiki Danielsson, Anna Boom, Kiki Bettan and Lotta was there one time. Everyone has been there. But the most talked about performance of all time was probably when Jimi Hendrix came to town in the 60s, because he played so loud and he never ever wanted to go off the stage. The only way to actually take Hendrix from the stage was by pulling the power, and that is exactly what a somewhat panicking Gröna Lund program manager did in 1967. And over there on the right hand corner you can see a little fort with a Swedish flag waving up on it. That is a really important flag. Do you know what it symbolizes? We call it a peace flag, and as long as it's waving up there, it symbolizes that Sweden is not invaded by foreign power. So that Swedish flag has been waving up there for over 200 years. Except from one morning, actually. In the 17th of May in 1996, when we woke up here in Stockholm, we found the Norwegian flag up there. People started panicking. from your face and so can I. But it would never be working without your thumbs though, that's a fact.
Därför är det bra. Ska man på det här sättet? Här har du en kina.
And coming up here on our right hand side, we have the King's Garden, Kung's Garden, that used to belong to the palace back in the days, where they grew fruits and trained horses and so on. But nowadays, we mostly use this area for different events and festivals. And a couple of years ago, we had Eurovision Song Contest here in Stockholm, and then the fans was gathered here. Does anyone on board know how many times Sweden has won the Eurovision Song Contest? Vad tror du? 2? 2? Yes! Vad tror du? Yes! 6 times! Only Ireland has won more with the number of 7. And the first... And if anyone wants the microphone to sing in, just wave your hand and I'll come and give it to you. Gud, vilken anstormning det blev. Jag får gå där själv. And okay, soon coming up on the left-hand side you will have the Royal Palace. But the royal family, they do not live here anymore. They moved out to Drottningholm about 40 minutes from here in the 80s. I guess they thought that this palace was too small for them or something like that. And yeah, maybe you remember that you are right now sitting in Ocean Bus Estelle, the oldest ocean bus. And our crown princess Victoria, she have 2 kids. And the oldest daughter's name is actually Estelle. So she is actually named after Ocean Bus. Isn't that incredible? Maybe it was the other way around, I don't remember anymore. And coming up here also on the left hand side soon you will have the parliament with 349 seats divided into 8 different parties. And every 4th year there's election year here in Sweden. And this year is actually one of them. So Hallå? Jonsson?
Du kan inte läsa alfabet.
Started her strike for the environment back in 2008. And okay guys, all fairy tales have an ending and we have unfortunately soon come to ours. And when we start to disembark, I would like all of you to sit down until I open up the stairs and safeten them for you. And me and the captain, we would like to thank you so much for joining us today. And if someone would like to give us some tip, I will put a hat up here in the front. And we like all princesses and of course he's super happy if someone wants to give us something. And if you want to make a review out of this tour, please don't say anything about the sound. But if you like the tour and want to make a review, you can do it on either TripAdvisor, Facebook, or Get Your Guide. And if you like the tour and want to make a review, my name is Mimmi and the captain's name is Jonas. But if you didn't like the tour but still want to make a review, then my name is Jane and Tarzan. We're driving you today. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day here in Stockholm.
Nasıl? Korktan tanız mı? Okay.
Bra. Tack.